They've not had over 3 corners in any game yet. That is quite interesting, isn't it? 3-3, 2-1, 4-2, 5-1, 2-1. A lot of goals, to be fair. Will Barcelona win this game? Can Barcelona win this game? I think the answer is, of course, they can. PSG need this. They need something from these games in the last few weeks, or you're not getting through, lads. Sorry. And it'll show us, oh, wow. It'll show us Manchester United. Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Predictions Show. This, as you can see right here, is a Europa special. Europa special? A European special. Europa League is included in the special, but it is also going to be focusing on the Champions League as well. We're going to cover the Champions League first. And for both of those competitions, there's no Conference League this week for some reason. I don't know. There isn't. But the Champions League is where we will start, and we're going to be taking a look at the top performing teams and the not so top performing teams coming into this game week. But first, let's start by taking a look at the fixtures. This is Tuesday's fixtures, then we'll move on to Wednesday's fixtures for the Champions League, and we're just going to browse through these quickly and check out some of the odds on offer, and then we will dig into the data for these teams and the competitions as well. So straight up there at 5.45, Monaco, Aston Villa, and the odds actually quite generous, I think, for Aston Villa, double chance or draw no bet. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Atalanta, talking about generous odds, not so much. 1.18 for them to get the job done at home to Sturm Graz. And Liverpool-Lille should be a good game, but of course the bookies favouring Liverpool 1.27, 10 for Lille to go there and get a victory. Will Darwin Núñez start after his heroics at the weekend? You have to imagine he will. Borussia Dortmund, not so heroic for them. They lost 2-0 on Friday night, was it? And Bologna doing very well this season. Had a fantastic start to the season for sure. 3.4 to win. Now that, to me, again, screams value for the double chance, potentially. We'll take a look at that game in a moment, but let's just keep going because we've got another superb game here. Bayer Leverkusen, who have won, I think they've won at least 10 of the last 10. We'll check the data in a moment, but they are on a superb winning run. And they beat Dortmund recently as well. Atletico Madrid, I think they've won 9 out of the last 10 again. These are two teams in superb form. Atletico Madrid going for the La Liga title. Barcelona stumbling a little bit in recent weeks. Slovan Bratislava against Stuttgart. Stuttgart heavy favourites for that one. They've had some good results in the Champions League so far, including a victory at Juventus in the early rounds. PSV away at Red Star. I saw this on the Value Bets page in one of the previous videos, didn't we? I think for BTTS. BTTS has come down a little bit to 1.5 now, but these are two teams that can score goals and have proven in the Champions League so far that they can score goals. Juventus scoring goals at the minute. They beat AC Milan 2-0 recently at the weekend. 7 of the last 10 games, incidentally, for Juventus have ended with BTTS. We'll take a look at them to see how many of those games were away games, because I think at home they are a different animal, aren't they, in terms of the way they defend. They are, of course, still unbeaten in Serie A this season. And finally on Tuesday, a cracker of a game again, Benfica, Barcelona, and the bookies struggling really to call this one. Barcelona favourites, but still evens to win the game. And the thing with Barcelona is if you can get them at evens, I would actually take it, because when they turn it on, as they have done in the Champions League this season, Benfica might score, but Barcelona can put 3, 4, 5 past anyone on their day. We'll take a look at Barcelona's recent form in this video as well. And of course, we will put together our own predictions in this video. And I want to ask you if you can do me a favour, if you can please get your predictions in the comments for this video. Let me know what you're on for today, Tuesday, as I record this. And of course, if this has already happened, feel free to skip. There will be timestamps in the video. And now let's take a quick look at Wednesday's action, shall we, before we dig into the data for the Champions League. And we're going to start with the football form guide, seeing who is coming into this in hot form. Wednesday sees Donetsk playing with the Brest this week, and again the bookies finding it pretty tough to call that one. 2.7 for both teams there or thereabouts. Sporting not so great since they lost their manager. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Because if he'd have stayed, and carried on at Sporting, maybe they could have had a run in the Champions League. Let's see how they do. They have got a new manager in now who has been appointed from the Portuguese league. Real Madrid hosting Salzburg 1.08. I think that's the lowest out of any game, isn't it? For them to beat Salzburg, you would expect them to. Salzburg have been absolutely terrible this season across all competitions. Arsenal, Zagreb, again, you would expect Arsenal to get the job done, even though they are not in the best of shape at the moment defensively. Will Saliba play that game? I think against Zagreb it probably doesn't matter if he plays or not. Sparta Praha against Inter Milan 1.4 to get the job done. You would expect them to. PSG Manchester City. PSG Manchester City. What a game that could be. Some new signings on show for both teams, by the way, potentially. Man City getting back into the groove with a 6-0 victory against Ipswich, and PSG, as we'll look at in a moment, because we'll check out the table before we go to the form guide, the Champions League table. PSG need this. They need something from these games in the last few weeks, or you're not getting through, lads. Sorry. Milan against Girona, combine the two, why not? Milan looking to bounce back from that 2-0 defeat to Juventus, 1.45. That one could be an interesting one for BTTS potentially. Celtic against Young Boys, BTTS 1.67. Celtic goals in most of their Champions League games this season, isn't there? Feyenoord, Bayern Munich. Again, the good games keep coming. And then as you can see, when I scroll down, there's like one game on Tuesday and Wednesday for the Europa League. So we'll take a look at the Europa League in the second half of this video. But now, let's take a quick look at the Champions League table before moving to the football form guide. So the table looks like this. Liverpool absolutely perfect. They've conceded 1 goal. That is absolutely superb, really, isn't it? And Barcelona, we saw them at evens. They've lost 1 game in the Champions League. So at evens, I don't think that's too bad, isn't it? You could have a double chance treble or something based on the fixtures we've just seen there. Really generous odds for a couple of teams. And of course, Benfica are a good side, as we see in the data in a moment. But Arsenal up there, Leverkusen up there, Aston Villa away from home. I think their only defeat came away from home in the Champions League. And we mentioned PSG, and well, we mentioned Man City. Man City have only won twice, but PSG just on the brink there. If they get a victory, they will surely go into those playoff spots. Real Madrid 20th as things stand. Man City 22nd. Celtic could do with picking up a point or 3 just to secure their place in the playoff spots. And if you look at those playoff spots now, you've got Bayern in there, Madrid, Milan, Juventus, Benfica, Sporting, Real Madrid, of course, City. You wouldn't want to be a small team in that playoff spot, would you? And that's why the teams that are in here at the minute, I'm not calling Villa a small team, but they want to make sure they stay in those automatic spots. Brest and Lille, especially so. Can they get the points they need in this game week? Let us know in the comments. And now we're going to go and check out the football form guide to see who is coming into this game week hot. So here is the football form guide for the Champions League. As you load it, it'll show the last 6 games, and we can see PSG have won 6 out of 6. Leverkusen 6 out of 6. Club Brugge 5 out of 6. They are hosting Juventus. Big game for them. Red Star, as we saw, 5 out of 6. They are hosting PSV. I expect goals in that game. What about you? Let's go to the last 10 games, shall we? Let's see who is in the best form across the last 10 games. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, Leverkusen have won 10 out of the last 10 games, and they are at Atletico Madrid, who have won 9 out of the last 10 games. I am going to stand well clear of that one and just watch it because it should be a great game. But with Atletico Madrid, you just never know in these games. It could be a 1-1, it could be a 1-0, it could be a 0-0. And I'm just going to leave it because it's very, very hard to predict when 2 teams that are in that kind of form come in head-to-head. Club Brugge, 9 wins in the last 10 games, makes it a very interesting game against Juventus, who, as I mentioned, have seen BTTS in 7 of the last 8 games. Maybe Club Brugge to simply score a goal in this fixture would be an interesting choice. What do you think? Let us all know in the comments. These are just games won, of course. We can see Red Star 8 out of 10. They're playing PSV, so you get an idea for the form. And what you can now do on the football form guide is click on the chart icon. So if we wanted to take a look at Red Star Belgrade's form, for example, and look at the last 10 games, we can see that they've drawn 0. And we can see in terms of goals scored, it is 36, which puts them second in the pot of all Champions League teams. So from games 1, let's take a look at goals scored, shall we? And we can see that they are actually first in terms of all the teams that have games coming up. And look who is third. This is going to be a good game, isn't it? Let's hope so. BTTS, as I say, I'm sure it was a value bet. It was the BTTS value bet video that I did on the channel last. You can check it out here. Yeah, we created a filter which was profitable, and this game popped up. Now, I think the odds may have dropped significantly since we recorded that video, but the point still stands that it is a great option for that if you're looking at doubles or trebles or something for tonight. Barcelona, 28 goals in the last 10 games. They are away at Benfica, and we can just click on the icon as well and see where they rank at the minute for games won. They have won 6 of the last 10. Barcelona, as I said, they're in a bit of a sticky period for Barcelona in terms of what they should be doing, and it's just unfortunate for them and for Madrid that Atletico Madrid have been playing so well at the moment, absolutely unstoppable. In terms of BTTS, then you can scroll down here and you can see that 7 of the last 10 for Barcelona as well, and they rank 10th for that. So if we just close this and go to BTTS, then I imagine there's quite a lot of teams in this competition that have had a lot of BTTS games. So Feyenoord, 9 of the last 10. That's quite surprising given how dominant they can be in the Netherlands, that 9 of their last 10 games. Slovan Bratislava as well, 9 out of the last 10 games. They are playing Stuttgart, who are very capable of getting a goal, as they've shown in the Champions League already. Young Boys, 8 out of 10. They're playing Celtic at Celtic. I think Celtic to win that game is where my head is at the minute. Let me know what you think in the comments. Barcelona, we just saw. Aston Villa, 7 out of 10 across all competitions. This is at Monaco. Aston Villa to get a goal. Let's now jump to a couple more stats, and then we'll first jump to Bet365 to put together a slip for Tuesday's games. So Bet365 then, and Club Brugge to score is 1.4. Unintentional rhymes. Let me know what you think about that in the comments, and I'll just show you some of the other odds as well. If you were looking at BTTS, some of the games we've mentioned for Tuesday, Atalanta, not feeling it, to be honest. They've got a great defensive record in the Champions League. Monaco, 1.57 for Aston Villa. Aston Villa maybe to score in the second half. We can check out some of the data for that one. Madrid, Leverkusen, 1.75. There are quite low odds, to be honest, for BTTS this season in the Champions League. Club Brugge, Juventus, 1.8. Now, if we're going to go for Club Brugge to score, will there be a response from Juventus? Well, before we select this, let's take a look at the results recently for Juventus. Let's see the distribution of those BTTS games. How many have been at home? How many have been away? How many have been in the Champions League? And of course, there we go. Red Star PSV, 1.5 as we expect. Maybe over 2.5 goals for this one as well. Let's have a look. But first, let's check out the Juventus game. So here we are then. Club Brugge, as we saw, come into this in superb form. They really do. BTTS in the last couple of games, incidentally, at home, they have scored 2 or more in every game since early November. Every game since they beat Aston Villa 1-0. Aston Villa's only defeat in the Champions League so far this season came away from home. They are not to be messed with, really, Club Brugge, and I think they're probably going to be underestimated, shall we say, by a lot of people who are looking at these games this week in the Champions League. And Juventus, that win there against Milan, it was much needed, wasn't it, at the weekend? 2-0 victory. BTTS before that, in the last 5 games away from home, they have won just once since early November, since the 2nd of November. Now, it's worth mentioning as well that they haven't lost. They don't lose many games. They haven't lost any games in Serie A. I think they've lost 1 game here recently, which was in the Super Cup to Milan. And then that's it. They lost in the Champions League to Stuttgart at home, as we mentioned. There was a red card in that game, though, to be fair. But yeah, away from home, they've conceded in the last 4 games. Will that run continue? Will they concede? And if so, will they score? What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and we'll take a look at the probability model here for the different outcomes. And The model is actually leaning towards Club Brugge. BTTS just over evens, actually, to be fair. Club Brugge home record is pretty good. A few clean sheets in there, but not too many. This is Juventus at the end of the day, so I'm actually going to go with BTTS as the first selection here. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And now I'm going to jump back to the football form guide to take a look at the teams that get the most cards. So what you can do with the football form guide is actually filter directly on these stats here. Team to win the most corners, most cards, most shots, and most shots on target. Now, if you've used Bet365, you'll know that these are actually markets. So if we go team with the most cards, and if you've watched these videos this season, you'll know that we've had a lot of joy with this market in the Champions League especially. So Atletico Madrid, in their last 10 games, they've received the most cards in 7 of those games. Now we'll take a look at the odds because it might not be great. You know, they're at home. They'll have many tactical fouls against Leverkusen, who are a very good side, very exciting side. Monaco, 6 of the last 10. They are hosting Aston Villa, of course. Young Boys, 6 of the last 10. They're away at Celtic. Not an easy place to go, that one. Absolutely not an easy place to go. So Salzburg as well, 5 out of 10. Benfica against Barcelona. I think one of the best ones we had was Red Star Belgrade away at Barcelona. The odds were like 1.9 for them to have the most cards, and we used this tool to find it in a matter of seconds. And yeah, 1.95. I think they had 4 cards compared to Barcelona's 1 or something earlier in the Champions League. It was fantastic value, that. And let's have a look, shall we, at the odds for some of these teams. So similarly here, Monaco 2.5 to get more cards than Aston Villa in the game. Now Aston Villa, they're no stranger to a card, let's be honest, especially away from home. They will be picking up cards in this game. So teams to both receive a card, 1.14, always worth checking just so you can see where the bookie's head is at. How many cards do they expect in this game? So they're expecting more than 3 cards. Now, what's the distribution going to be like for those cards? Monaco to get over 1 card at 1.36. It's low for me, but it's not bad, if you know what I mean. I think they will get over 1 card, and it's just a bit less risk than saying they will get all of the cards or most of the cards. But some of you will look at this and say that that is worth the reward. The risk is worth the reward because it is 2.5. If you want to go for a single on that, absolutely have at it all day long. And let's have a look here then. 1.36 for Monaco to get more than 1 card against Aston Villa, who put in a very good performance at Arsenal, of course. How tired will they be from that game? Will Duran come in for this one? They've got plenty of options on the bench. They've just signed somebody from Dortmund as well, haven't they, who I imagine will be registered for the Champions League. 2.45, that is a nice double. Let's see if we can add anything else before moving on to Wednesday's fixtures. Now, the form guide also allows you to view shots for, shots on target for. So we can look at, let's say, shots on target for. Who's having the most shots on target? It is Real Madrid, and they are hosting Salzburg. The odds were absolutely abysmal. I was going to say terrible, but abysmal came out. PSV 85, and they are, of course, away from home. PSV, BTTS looks good for that, doesn't it? PSV to score, I imagine, is very low given the odds for BTTS. PSG, not PSV now, PSG against Man City. 84 shots in their last 10 games. They're in good form, aren't they, as we saw earlier in the video. Liverpool 77, Bayern Munich 72 away at Feyenoord. Barcelona away at Benfica. Let's take a look at the odds because, as I mentioned, Barcelona double chance is something that I think offers decent value. We'll take a look at the fixtures first, the data, and then we will jump to Bet365. So Barcelona's Champions League form looks like this. They have scored 3 or more in every game since the opening game, which they actually lost away at Monaco. Away from home, they've conceded 2 in every single game, incidentally. But of course, they scored 3 at Dortmund. They came back to win that game, didn't they? And then they've scored 5 away at Red Star Belgrade. And overall, their form is okay, but of course, a couple of defeats in La Liga in December and towards the end of December, and then a draw, which always feels like a defeat for Barcelona, especially when other teams at the top are absolutely smashing it. And for Benfica at home, they are pretty good as ever, to be fair. Lost 3-1 to Feyenoord, which was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. And in the Champions League, let's have a look at their record so far. So at home, they failed to score against Bologna. As I said previously, Bologna's defensive record is very, very good. Atletico Madrid came there and lost 4-0. That was a surprise. And it's been a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't it, overall? So 2 defeats, 1 draw, and 2 victories. They've had a tough old run, haven't they, really? They've played Red Star Belgrade, who, in previous years have really given good games to top teams in the Champions League. Atletico Madrid, Feyenoord, one of the best teams in Holland, of course. Bayern Munich, not an easy task. Monaco, and then Bologna, who have been doing really well this season. So, yeah, not an easy run. Will Barcelona win this game? Can Barcelona win this game? I think the answer is, of course, they can. And let's take a look at the odds. So they are evens to win, double chance, 1.33. What about the draw no bet? I don't know if they offer it on the... they don't offer it on the bet builder, do they? So draw no bet, wherever it is, we will find it. So draw no bet 1.53. I'm going to add this to the mix, and what I'm going to do on this video is just create a sort of short list for you to check out, and then let me know in the comments which you feel most confident in. Is it Club Brugge Juventus? Is it Monaco Villa? Or is it Benfica Barcelona? So that is Tuesday's games. Let's take a look at Wednesday's games on Bet365 and try and have a look at all the data that we have calculated so far and looked at. All of the teams that we've looked at. AC Milan, of course, doing okay. Arsenal, Celtic Young Boys. I think Celtic for the win, but the bookies are actually thinking similarly here with 1.33. Celtic and over 2.5 goals, but then it's just not worth it for the Celtic victory at 1.33. I don't think. BTTS at 1.66. We saw that Young Boys, was it 8 of the last 10 games have ended with BTTS, if you wanted to have a look at that. This is one of the games. Let me just do it and show you how you can do it. If we just go here and type in Celtic, I'm just going to show you how you can set an alert on this game really quickly. I can do it quick, but I can't say it quick. So BTTS here, 1.67. If this is a slow start, let me know when it hits evens and I'll be getting on that in play. So let's jump back to Bet365 and see what else is on offer. For Wednesday, we've got Feyenoord Bayern Munich. Interesting game there. Bayern Munich 1.42, showing actually the respect the bookies are giving to Feyenoord there. Had some good results in the Champions League, as we saw. PSG Man City is a tricky one to call. As you can see, these Wednesday games are actually they're either pretty straightforward. AC Milan you expect to beat Girona at home. Shakhtar and Brest could be an interesting one with BTTS, as could Leipzig and Sporting. So Sporting are sort of in the middle of that playoff zone, but of course the teams below them, Feyenoord, Real Madrid, Celtic, City, PSG, these teams will be wanting to pick up points, so it's important that Sporting do at least get a draw from their game. So given that the odds are 2.35, I actually quite like the look of a double chance there, because Leipzig, you never know, it might be now that the pressure's off, they start to perform in the Champions League. They of course cannot progress at this stage. They've had a terrible run, really. The teams that they played in the Champions League has been brutal. Here is that run, and it's a terrible run of games. I mean, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Liverpool, Celtic. Celtic was probably the game they thought they could win potentially away from home. Inter Milan away from home. Then they welcomed Aston Villa, and that was the game that sent them out. But that is a very harsh run, isn't it, really? And Sporting, they've lost the last couple of games, obviously since Amorim has departed. The last game that he played or managed was that Man City 4-1 victory. All competitions, though, they are back in the swing of things, 3-0 away from home at the weekend, which bodes well for them. They've appointed a new manager who had a very good home record in Portugal's Premier Division. So away from home, they've scored 7 in the last couple of games. Let's have a look if there is any value in this game. Over 2.5 goals. Let's just jump back to Leipzig and see how they're doing at home at the moment. They've scored 4 goals in the last home game, scored 3 in the previous game. So there is goals in their games at the moment. 3-3, 2-1, 4-2, 5-1, 2-1. A lot of goals, to be fair. And I think maybe, given that they're out of the Champions League already, this one could be a bit of a, a one last hoo-ha, shall we say. 1.61 for over 2.5 goals. I quite like Sporting or draw as well. Sporting or draw and maybe over 1.5 goals if we check out the bet builder. And again, let me know what you think in the comments. There's no right answer. I guess there is a right answer because whatever happens is the right answer. But in terms of your predictions, just let me know. I'm going to go with something a little bit riskier here, but I think given that Sporting, they want to secure those points, they've got teams behind them, there is more jeopardy. I'm going to go with draw or Sporting and over 1.5 goals. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Sporting to get a draw or a victory at Leipzig and over 1 goal in that game. So it covers 1-1 and it, of course, covers any kind of draw up from 1-1 and, of course, Sporting getting that win if they can. So I think for the Champions League, that is going to be that for me. Let me know what you think about these in the comments. Which would you combine? Maybe you can create some doubles from this. We've got Leipzig Sporting, 1.66. Club Brugge Juventus, BTTS, 7 of the last 10 for Juventus, including the last 4 away games, was it? Have ended with BTTS landing. Monaco to get over 1 card, 1.36, quite a low one, but obviously can be paired with something. And Barcelona draw no bet at 1.53, total 6.27 combined, of course. And let me know what you're going with for this Champions League game week. And now let's check out the football form guide for the Europa League. So we will again look at games 1 first, and we can see Union Saint-Gilloise. They are 7 out of 10, and they are hosting Sporting Brugge, who have typically been a decent team in Europe. Anderlecht 7 out of 10, they're away at Victoria, who have also won 7 out of 10. Real Sociedad Lazio should be a good game. Real Sociedad 7 wins in the last 10. Fenerbahce Lyon should be a great game as well. Fenerbahce hosting Lyon, cards, wherever there's a Turkish club playing. Athletic Club are away at Besiktas as well. That's another tasty game. Qarabag there. Is that FC Basel? FC Sporting Brugge? Or Basel? Brugge, I think it is. Yeah, there's a lot of teams here that have won 7 of the last 10 games, to be fair. Victoria Pleasant as well, hosting Anderlecht. We saw Anderlecht a little bit higher up, didn't we? Let's take a look at some other markets that we didn't look at for the Champions League, and that includes goals conceded. So the teams that are conceding the fewest number of goals: Real Sociedad, Olympiacos, who have recently won European competitions, haven't they? FCB. Now what we're going to do is scroll to the bottom of this, and it'll show us, oh wow, it'll show us Manchester United. So out of all teams in the Europa League, every single team, Manchester United have conceded the most goals across the last 10 games out of every single team, and they are hosting Rangers, which is an interesting game. Tottenham away at Hoffenheim, 20 goals conceded in the last 10 games, and Hoffenheim not too far behind as well, so could be goals in that game. And let's now take a look at some corners, some cards, and let me know what you're thinking for the Europa League. Get your predictions in the comments, get your slips in the comments, and hopefully you can use this tool to power your selections. Makes things really easy to see the top performing teams. For example, Qarabag, they have had the most corners in 10 of their last 10 games, and now they are hosting FCSB. Fenerbahce with 9 out of 10. Let's just take a quick look at the odds for these markets, shall we? Corners is usually a little bit lower than cards, but let's take a look. So Qarabag to get the most corners is 1.61. It's happened in 10 of their last 10 games, of course. And what do you think? Let's have a look at their data, shall we? Fenerbahce 9 out of 10. Of course, Lyon a much better side. We can just take a look at their corner count. In the Europa League so far, they're not the best team, are they? Whereas Basel, they've got a few decent results. They've only lost once. And if we look at the corner count, which you can do by checking on this, let's just look at corners 4, shall we, at the moment. So away from home, 2-1-0 in the Europa League. They've not had over 3 corners in any game yet. That is quite interesting, isn't it? And at home, 5-3-7. And they've had over 2. So they've had 3 or more in every game. But at home, of course, they've had 5-3-7. So what do you think? Let's do this for all competitions at home. 7, 4, 5, 5, 8, 10, 3, 7, 7, 6. And then we can just take a look at the away data for FCSB. Now, it's not too many corners, is it, to be honest, for them? And especially if we go back to that Europa League run, 2-2, 1-0. But if we look at the results, they're keeping things tight, aren't they? I mean, they lost at Rangers. Maybe they just got it wrong in that game. But at Hoffenheim, 0-0, 1-0 at POAK, and 1-0 against Linz as well. So, I mean, that kind of shows you their level, doesn't it? They're not the best team in the world. Qarabag, they've lost all but one game. They beat Bodo Glimt away, which is probably one of the tougher games. They've had a tough run, to be fair. They played Spurs, Malmo, best team in Sweden, or one of. Ajax, one of the best teams in Holland. Bodo Glimt, again, good team from Norway. Lyon, and then Elfsborg away from home. So they'll be happy to be playing a team that they feel they will maybe be able to beat at home in FCSB, because they've had a pretty tough run at home thus far. So to have the most corners, 1.61. Let's add it to the shortlist, shall we? And then keep looking at some of these markets. Olympiacos away at Porto. I don't think, despite them having the most corners in 9 out of 10 games, I don't think away at Porto is going to be the easiest game for them. Now we can look at the most cards for this one. Porto in 7 out of their last 10 games. Midtjylland, Nice at Elfsborg. Interesting game there. Elfsborg, we just saw, have put together some wins in this competition. Lyon at Fenerbahce, that should be a good game, but I imagine the card markets are absolutely shocking for this one. Let's have a look. Team to get the most cards is not even available for Fenerbahce game. Card markets not added as of yet. I'm recording this on Tuesday. This game is on Thursday, of course. And that might be the thing with most of these games at the minute, because I'm recording it on Tuesday. Some of these markets not yet available. Hoffenheim 2.2 over evens to beat Tottenham. Can they do it? Ange Postecoglou putting all his eggs in the I always win something in my second season basket. Well, this is it, Ange. You've got to win these games. Hoffenheim, you would expect them to get the job done, I would say. Let's have a look at the data quickly. Just one victory for Hoffenheim in the Europa League, and that came against Kiev at home. Unbeaten at home, it must be said. Tottenham in this competition, no win in 3 games. BTTS in the last 3 games away from home. They have conceded in every single game. Will that run continue? And of course, we can look at their recent form to see that the only victories recently have come against Tamworth and Liverpool. So, yeah, work that one out. Man United they beat, Southampton they beat, Man City they beat, of course. This is Tottenham, guys. For Hoffenheim, they come into this having won 3-1, but before that, they did not win since early November. So it would be very funny if they didn't win that game and then played Spurs and beat Spurs and, you know, very just Spursy stuff. At home, it's not been very good. Not many wins in recent times, but plenty of draws as well. So what's going to happen in that one? I do think that is pretty good value, to be fair, 2.2 at the top end of the pitch. Tottenham do have the quality to win this game, and 3.55 as a double that goes to some of the other games we've looked at. Elfsborg, Nice, potential cards there. Manchester United 1.42 to beat Rangers. You would expect them to do that. Rigas FC against Ajax. Now Rigas for BTTS early in the season was quite good, always evens or above. For this game, it is 1.75, so bookies are clocking on a little bit. Yeah. This is the form guide tool. Let's just keep looking, see if anything else stands out. Teams with most shots on target, Rangers. And we saw that Man United have conceded so many goals, more than any other European team in the Europa League. So Manchester United against Rangers. Let's just take a look at some of this data. Rangers having a lot of shot on targets, more shots on target than their opponents in 10 out of 10. Of course, they don't play teams that have the quality of Manchester United. Rangers to have over 1.5 shots on target is 1.2. Let's just quickly take a look at the recent data for Rangers. So Rangers results recently, just one defeat in this competition. That was to Lyon. If we look at their shots on target 4, 6, 8, 6, 7, 5, 5. And this one is at Old Trafford. Now away from home, they had 8 shots on target against Nice, 6 against Olympiacos, 5 against Malmo. If we just do this, I think we'll keep it to Europa League, actually. It's a better indication, isn't it? If we put it to Scotland, it's just going to, it's just going to take the average up. It's going to soar. I think you want to see what their numbers are against similar teams. Man United, in terms of their shots on target, at home, 6, 4 and 5. If we look at all competitions, they had 1 shot on target against Brighton. That is abysmal, isn't it? And at home, they had 9 against Southampton, who were just awful, and then back to 1 against Newcastle. So, I mean, I don't think Rangers will have more, but they couldn't they? Over 2.5 shots on target for Rangers. What do you think? Onana, absolutely shocking as well at the weekend. You could go total shots on target just to, take a bit of risk away, but then you have to go for a higher number, of course. I'm going to go with Rangers to have over 2.5 shots on target, as they have, by the way, was it every single Europa League game so far? Let's just take a look at the Europa League. So in every game, they have had more than 5 shots or more for Rangers in every single Europa League game. So why not? Over 2.5 shots, 1.61. We saw that Man United conceding a bucket load of goals at the moment, more than any European team in this competition. Tottenham to get the job done. I think at the top end of the pitch, they've still got the quality to beat Hoffenheim. That's as simple as it needs to be. They've still got the quality to beat Hoffenheim. And after that Everton result, you really don't want to play them now, if you know what I mean. After the shocking first half, and clearly had words at half-time because they were much better in the second half, but the damage was done. So I think this game offers good value at 2.2. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then Qarabag to have the most corners. We saw FCSB with hardly any corners away from home, which was quite surprising. So, yeah, that is the video. Let's just jump back to the football form guide, and I'll just show you all the markets that you can explore here. Total corners, corners 4. You've got cards in here as well, shots on target, tackles, offsides, goal kicks, throw-ins as well, yellow cards 4. We can see that Porto right up there as well. I'll add an update to this so that it hides teams that don't have a fixture in the competition anymore, because obviously it's including all Europa League teams for this season, and that includes qualifying. But you can quite clearly just see the teams that have fixtures. They're the ones that you want to know about, right? So yeah, that has been the Europa League special and Champions League special as well. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know if you want to see more like this. Get your thoughts and predictions in the comments. And of course, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.